Good morning. I thought I would just pop on, make a video, and talk about recent and upcoming events. I want to bring a little bit of reality to the situation, which I don't see a whole lot of people doing. Um, Nothing new, in other words. So there have been these protests in LA, and they have undoubtedly been fiery, but mostly peaceful, if you know what I mean. I've got an image that I took a screenshot of video as I was watching it from the other day, showing a electric Waymo vehicle on fire. Man, those things burned down to nothing. I want to emphasize something. There is something I see in the headlines everywhere, absolutely everywhere, that is pretty much false. And it's whether it's in mainstream media, whether it's alternative media, the preppers on YouTube that think that they're news media. Everywhere I look, I see the wording nationwide protests. Okay, can anybody show me these nationwide protests? I think back to all the drones that were flying around and all the, planes that were reported as drones. And I think about this. I'm like, where's the nationwide protest? LA has definitely been a hotspot. I don't think anybody could argue that. New York has had a little bit, just a little bit. Colorado, I think it was Boulder or something, I'm not real sure. Supposedly they had a little bit of a protest. And I don't even know which city in Texas had a little bit of a protest. Pretty bad if you want to call this nationwide protests. And I can't even tell you which city it was in Texas that had their little protest. So, first of all, let's be realistic about this protest. Is it nationwide? Not really. Not really. That's definitely not what I call a nationwide protest. So, we need to take it down a notch just with that alone. Secondly, I want to point out I watched closely last night as things unraveled in LA. And there was, of course, stuff being thrown at law enforcement and stuff like that. But it wasn't near the craziness that was seen over the weekend. Not even close. The numbers that they had last night in LA, and I'm speaking about the protesters, were extremely small. I mean, they were dwarfed in comparison to the numbers they had over the weekend. Now, is that because it was, no longer the weekend? I mean, that had some effect on it, but for the most part, I think that a lot of people in LA had seen that they're not going to play. And with the knowledge that not only had Trump sent 2,000 more National Guard, but also there were Marines right by at the ready, I think a lot of people kind of lost their motivation to FAFO. You know what I mean? So I wanted to kind of bring a realistic view of what's going on as far as these protests are concerned. So we've got, some events coming up this weekend on Saturday. And it's Flag Day, of course. There's going to be a parade in D.C. It's supposed to be a parade like we haven't seen in this nation for a long, long time. We're talking with tanks rolling through the streets and all of that stuff. Much like what they do in Russia, North Korea. I'm sure China probably does it. We haven't done that in quite some time. But Trump took it upon himself to organize such a type of parade. That is what it is. there's like some 18 miles of non-scalable fencing that's being put up, and there's all these magnetometers that are going to be deployed. There's drones that's going to be deployed in D.C. So there is also a website and more or less a call to action for individuals who are not, accepting of the Trump agenda for Saturday on June 14. And the biggest of which I've heard is it's called No Kings. They got a website, nokings.org. And I wanted to bring this to folks' attention. Not that I expect a whole lot to come of this. In fact, I don't expect a whole lot to come of this. I don't expect us to see a whole lot more in L.A., to tell you the truth. I think things are going to simmer down there pretty quick. I don't think that, unlike what the prepper channels are trying to tell everybody, I don't think that this is Summer of Love 2.0. Absolutely. The weekend was hectic and fiery in LA. But you can't take one weekend and say, oh, well, this is going to be the Summer of Love 2.0. People will stop at no ends to get clicks. And I'm really hoping that some of you are starting to be able to discern a little bit more between the BS and between reality, because there is a lot of BS that gets reported on the daily right here on YouTube, and in a lot of cases from the preparedness channels, which just blows my mind. It just absolutely blows my mind. I don't know. I don't understand it, but that is what it is. So the website I was talking about, here it is right here. NoKings.org is the website. It says, in America, we don't do kings. I would agree. It says they defied our courts, deported Americans, disappeared people off the streets, attacked our civil rights, and slashed our services. The corruption has gone too far. No thrones, no crowns, no kings. Well, here's the thing. A lot of that stuff that had been slashed needed to be slashed. There's a whole lot of people that are still up in arms because of the funds that were lost by many of the NGOs. And when you dug into it, when you looked a little bit deeper, they were things that American taxpayers shouldn't have been paying for. I mean, they were ridiculous things. So I'm all for getting rid of that stuff. On the other side of the coin, because there is another side to the coin, as fast as what Doge could try to get away from all the pork and all the fluff and all the spending that was being done, Trump and his administration was piling on more debt. So there's two sides to this coin here. And as usual, I'm not going to pick a side and say, oh, and just put on my rose-colored glasses and the scales over my eyes and just say, well, I cheer for this team, so I'm going to close my eyes to anything that they do. No, folks, and I would urge you guys to not do that as well. There's a lot of things that Trump is doing that is very concerning to me. And that a lot of it would involve AI. A lot of it would involve the implementation of a complete surveillance state, which they are so close to tying the bow on at this point. All they need is those data centers. Once they have those data centers, oh goodness, we got some problems on our hands. So let's get back to this little website here. NoKings.org. I'm not going to leave a link if you can't type that into a browser. I can't help you. It says on June 14th, we rise up. And they give you a map in which you can look around at your locations and see if there's anything coming up. We got actually some kind of-ish in our area. O'Fallon, Illinois. We're in Highland. So, let's see. Let me zoom in one more time here. Pardon me. We're in Highland, which on the map would be right about here. You see this little lake here? I don't know if it'll pop up if I zoom one more time. There we go, it did. So that's where we are. That's where we're located. Oh my God, OPSEC. Yeah, okay. If you're that stupid, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't know what to tell you, but you get what you deserve. So Belleville, Illinois, which is the biggest liberal haven near our area, to be honest. We are very conservative, not only in this town, but also in this county. And the only one that is anywhere near us that is, heavy leaning liberal would be Belleville and would be St. Clair County. That's the liberal haven of our area. So we got Belleville, we got O'Fallon, and obviously St. Louis is going to get in on the action because it's St. Louis. They're trying hard to be Chicago. And then Alton up here, which was the location of one of the state mental wards a long, long time ago. I'm not saying there's a correlation with that at all. I'm just saying that, yeah, so they've got all kinds of stuff that they have organized, these calls and all this stuff, mass calls they call them. They got it super, and I'll tell you what, and this is where a lot of people make a mistake, especially when they build websites and whatnot. People, and it is what it is, I'm just going to tell the truth, people are inherently lazy. Okay? And so when you build a website, you have to make it so easy. I mean, you got to basically hand everything to people on a silver platter, or else they're not going to, put any effort out to achieve what they want. They will just move on. And I will say that the individuals that built this website did a really good job of making it as easy as possible for people to be able to spread the agenda and be part of the agenda. And that is evident here in how they got this set up. But I want to focus on this last thing here real quick, and then we'll be pretty much wrapped up. It says on June 14th, Flag Day, President Trump wants tanks in the street and a made-for-TV display of dominance for his birthday. A spectacle meant to look like strength, but real power isn't staged in Washington. It rises up everywhere else. No Kings is a nationwide day of defiance. Well, let me comment on that, okay? Look, President Trump is not doing what he's doing to impress people that wear skinny jeans, people that don't know what their sexuality is, people that don't know what to do if mom doesn't bring them another Hot Pocket to the basement. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what to tell them. This is something that we used to do as far as the tanks through the streets and all that stuff. It's not really a show of force or show of strength or anything like that. It's more or less a celebration of our military. And lo and behold, it's Flag Day, right? Who is it that defends the American flag the most? The military, right? So this is not something that Trump just conjured up out of the wild blue yonder. This is something that we used to do all the time, just like many other countries that continue to do it all the time. So this whole display of dominance, that's not really what it is. It's more a celebration of our military, a celebration of our nation. That's what this is. People want to really attach more to Trump than what needs to be. People have too much time on their hands. They like to make shit up. That's just the way it is. I don't see it as much of anything in either case. I really don't. This goes on to say No Kings is a nationwide day of defiance. From city blocks to small towns, from courthouse steps to community parks, we're taking action to reject authoritarianism and show the world what democracy really looks like. Okay, well, you need to do that somewhere like North Korea, maybe, because the United States is not a democracy. We are a constitutional republic. Big difference. Big difference. I am so tired, and even conservatives and people that call themselves patriots will call this nation a democracy. It is not a democracy, and the sooner that we get that word out of our mouths, off of the tip of our tongues, and start calling it what it really is, maybe other people will start using that language as well. But we also have to work on it in the schools, because the schools teach that this is a democracy. And we don't live in a democracy. We absolutely do not. So, goes on to say here, one more comment on that. They mentioned courthouse steps. Here's the thing. People will protest and raise hell about the stupidest stuff. Absolute stupidest stuff. But do you know how long I've called for the fathers that have been screwed over by the family court systems to show up at their county courthouse? Everybody on the same day, organize, show up at their county courthouse. Right? Do you realize how many thousands, tens of thousands, possibly hundreds of thousands of people would be standing around that county courthouse? You want to talk about disruption, but you can't get people to stand up for what's important. What's more important than the entire fabric of this nation being ripped apart by court systems at the behest of politicians and private organizations that get paid big money for the dissolving of our family? It's mind-blowing to me, right? People won't stand up for the important stuff, but they'll stand up for the dumbest stuff. And that's just the way it's been going. I mean, men, where the hell are you, right? Take the tampon out of your underwear, organize, and get together and make this nation a nation that supports families again. A nation that respects family, because it's not right now, not even close. And I would offer that is one of the biggest determining factors to the downfall of this country, the destruction of family. But it won't get any better till we take the tampons out of our underwear and we go to that courthouse en masse to say we're not doing it no more. We're not having it no more. Enough. But I don't know. It's been a long time frustration of mine. It goes on to say we're not gathering to feed his ego. We're building a movement that leaves him behind. No, you're just out there showing your ass. You were going to accomplish nothing. Says the flag doesn't belong to President Trump. It belongs to us. We're not watching history happen. We're making it. You mean that same flag that you burn and step on every chance that you get? I don't think that Trump has ever claimed that he owns the American flag. I don't even get that statement. Because you're talking about a group of people who are absolutely on every level disrespectful to the flag, to this nation, that are now trying to claim it? Okay, well, maybe when you put down the Mexican flags, we can talk. It says on June 14th, we're showing up everywhere he isn't. Oh, well, that's brave right there, to say no thrones, no crowns, or no kings. Huh. I don't expect much, to be honest, to come of this. And unlike the preparedness channels that want to fearmonger you into thinking, oh my God, you better have your armor on, you better drive an MRAP around to the grocery store, you better... No. I don't think you're going to see much of anything. I really don't. And even if this organization were to take off and there would be a large showing, I want to point something out. Okay? Because this is something that I think could cause the people, the patriotic Americans, a lot of problems if they could actually pull it off. There is somewhere that it says here. This is one of them. This training will prepare you to show up safely and confidently at this nonviolent action, whether you're marching, rallying, or supporting from the sidelines. Okay? Nonviolent is the key word there. Okay? You have the right, per the First Amendment, to peaceably assemble. Okay? Peaceably. Now, I understand the reality of things. And the reality of things is our government is so corrupt. It's so out of touch. How many of you were waiting for the Epstein files? Raise your hand. How many of you waited for every bit of the JFK files, unredacted? Raise your hand. How many, and this is my personal biggest one, how many of you were waiting for the 9/11 files? Raise your hand. Have we gotten any of those? No, we haven't. Are we going to get any of those? No, we aren't. That's just the way it is. Even the ones you think are on your side are not. I would go on to say, it's my personal belief that many of the ones that you think are against one another in politics are working together. There comes a time when we have to be realistic. We'll call it the Tea Party moment. That we have to realize that talking is no longer going to make a difference. But here's the important part. It is what it is that you're willing to do that for. When I was young, I was a born rebel. Absolute born rebel. But I rebelled everything. Everything I could possibly find, I rebelled. And it took quite a while before I learned to hone that a little bit. Before I started to direct that a little bit to the causes that needed to be rebelled against. I think that that's a big problem of what's going on today. People are picking the dumbest causes to be rebels. This is one of those instances. Look, if somebody's in the country here illegally, we just need to leave that at that. They came illegally. That needs to be dealt with. Those people need to be removed. You get a lot of the left that just want open borders, but they don't have the foresight or the common sense to understand or see that right now we have all kinds of companies that are closing stores. We have all kinds of companies that are going bankrupt. We have a lot of people that can't afford their monthly bills. Some of them their own doing because they overextended themselves. They decided that credit was the way to go. I don't have much sympathy for those folks. But you have people that have done everything to the best of their ability, have made the right choices throughout their life, and they still are struggling to pay the bills. Many people are becoming homeless. Families are becoming homeless because of the bad shape that this nation's economy is in. And allowing these individuals to walk across the border and accept assistance, and I'm just wording it like that. I'm not going to sit there and try to degrade people like Pinball loves to do. You know, a lot of these people, when they come to the nation, they need assistance, and that's kind of a given. I mean, what are you going to do? If you move from one state to another state and you didn't do any preparation to do so ahead of time, guess what? You are going to need some kind of assistance until you can get on your feet in your new location. Whether you're an immigrant or whether you're a citizen, when you relocate, you either got to have a plan already or you're going to need help until you can put a plan together and take action on it. If our nation cannot function on a capitalistic level right now, how in the hell are we supposed to survive on a communist level? When the money that the government gets to operate on comes from taxes from us buying things, largely, and us working, largely, that's where they get their funds. So when those funds dry up because the people don't have jobs, the people can't afford to go out and buy stuff, so the government's got less input, how are they going to be able to put out more output? That is the quickest way to put our nation in a third world state. And I would go on to say we're probably not super far from that. The left needs to wake up and look at the reality of the situation. They have no idea that one of the things that they are demanding is their own downfall. Why? Because many of them are lazy. They refuse to look into anything. They want the convenience of the easiness of somebody else telling them how it is. And whether you're in a church pew or whether you're on the street protesting, that is the absolute dumbest thing you could ever do. Do not let anybody else tell you how anything is, including me. Dig and look for yourself, especially when it comes to the good book. Because I'm telling you right now, there's not a single organized religion out there that even comes close to telling the people the truth. And the more you look into it, the more you read the Bible, read the Apocrypha yourself, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So be safe out there. Don't live in fear. I don't think there's going to be much to do this weekend. I really don't. Just keep your heads on a swivel. I'm pretty sure unless you live in LA or, some crazy place, I'm pretty sure you can leave the body armor at home. Not saying don't go strapped, but leave the body armor at home. You don't need to pull the MRAP out or anything like that. And the drama queens on YouTube and other places that want to fearmonger all the time for clicks and attention. I'm telling you, you'll do yourself so much better by clicking that unsubscribe button. You really will. Hope you have a great day. Hope you have a blessed weekend. Safe one. And we'll probably see you at some point, at some time. Won't be for live shows, I can tell you that much. But I'm sure this isn't the last you'll hear of me. Shalom.